It really wasn't even like a front line through it all either. I'm right there with you, Tully. It was just too much damage from him. Adjustments got to be made here in the picks and bans for Game 2 if you're on the side of mousesports to try and find that win. Obey, on the other hand, hey, no reason why you can't try it again. I mean, they were able to make it work for him. Let's see if they can do it here again. Remember, mousesports, what was they first pick? Baron Apollo last game?
Baron Apollo. I was a little curious because it was actually, what was it, Chernobog that was first picked out of Obey, so why even pick Apollo? Are you afraid of Chernobog and Apollo in the same composition?
Right.
You give up Athena after that, you could probably pick up the Athena alongside the Baron.
I think that you got to make sure, and we talked about this a little bit backstage, right? That composition can work, but I think they give up too much value on the back end of it. They got to find a way to make that work with some different pieces so they can either pick away or ban away some of the stuff that Obey was able to use to their advantage.
Well, if it's not the Chalk mid, it's going to be the Sun Wukong mid, and that's
Clearly.
what Obey would rather deal with the Sun Wukong, obviously, than a Chalk, which has a lot of damage in a shorter amount of cooldowns.
They are going to take that one away, but Freya comes through first for Mouse, so that must be their solo laner then, or something like that, right? Because Mouse, who knows where stuff's going.
We never know. But this is probably going to BigManTingz. If he's looking for any sort of just early game lead, the same way Zeros was able to do on Lobster in the very first set, we could see the same thing here. If PrettyPrime's not careful against this Freya, he could take an early spill.
Yeah, I certainly hope it's for Tingz. We know just how well he can play this, and we just saw earlier with Zeros that it has solo potential. As, Baron Athena,
hey, look,
a good pairing.
A really good pairing.
That's what I would do.
Obey did what mousesports should have done in the last game.
I like it. Obey are able to grab up 2 priority picks for themselves. That leaves Amaterasu and Ram to come over from Mouse. So now coming through with a double auto attacker composition. Again, though, that could be for Dardez. I mean, I don't know truly.
I think this Amaterasu can safely go to Dardez. The
same
way
so.
Dignitas ran the Amaterasu-Ram combination. Applies a lot of lane pressure into buff invades. Obey yet again picking up the Zeus. If I'm mousesports, I'm thinking of Odin. I'm thinking of Kabrakan, I'm thinking of Ymir, anything to have a wall and just cut off the escape path out of the Zeus.
And Cherryo plays the Kabrakan very well. That was a big part of what made their double hunter composition work so well back in the fall of Season 4. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that we see from them again. But Mouse themselves are banning away the Odin. They don't want to lock in the Zeus. Maybe a little bit more worried that Obey would use it to lock them in and set up for the light show on their side.
Very, very true. Obey is with the next pick, so still a couple of options between the Kabrakan and the Ymir if they really wanted to. Mercury, the late game threat from CaptainTwig with PrettyPriMe. Mouse have to maybe think of some healing options now.
I like this, though. Twig has played this Mercury very well. He's played it when some others have not. As now Thoth coming out. So where's all this going? Now we got to wonder a little bit. They already have the Freya Rock.
Freya jungle, maybe?
Yeah, Freya jungle. That's not even too uncommon, right?
Maybe Thoth jungle, Freya mid.
Maybe. Do you like Thoth in the jungle? Is that a thing?
I don't mind it too much because you definitely have the potential to stun through the wall, final judgment through the wall. You have so much distance.
But how's this clear in the jungle early on? I mean, that's part of why Thoth has fallen off a bit.
That's a little bit.
Sure. I mean, Freya used to be seen in the jungle, like for real. That is way back, I feel like. But yeah, you can certainly see some Freya there. As Chiron comes out, that has Nate written all over it. Yeah.
The cleanse, very important to prevent the stun from dazzling offensive. That way you can still hold on to your beats as long as you time it correctly.
That is a good point. Yeah, that could certainly work out in their favor. But who do you all think is going to win? You going to vote along with the Chiron, the Zeus, the Baron, the Athena? Or do you think that Mouse are going to be able to make this composition work? They've got the Fafnir, the Amaterasu, so some nice front line and plenty of damage behind it. If there's a game Mouse can win here, it'd be if they can get this ball rolling.
If PrettyPriMe has half of the amount of opportunities he had in the first game for damage alone, I think that Obey should be able to clean this out 2-0.
Well, it sounds like at least Tully is leaning towards Obey, but I gotta wonder if everyone at home is leaning that way. And I like that we're seeing more Chiron here because I think there's a chance Chiron might become more popular even as we move into the next patch too. So already Ataraxia warming up for it.
Sonic Boom alongside just a long range damage from Chiron. I gotta give Ataraxia a little bit of credit in this game as long as he can just patiently wait.
Well, that's going to be the thing here. Can they make it to that point where this Chiron can really be on point? Obey Alliance already up 1 game. Let's get it over to the casters to see how it all ends up working in action.
Wow, we're seeing some Chiron.
Been a while since Ataraxia has brought out his signature Chiron, I want to say, by the way. He's definitely one of the main pros who really brought this pick into light.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiron definitely has been a little bit more interesting as of late. I think one of the bigger undervalued things is the change that they made where his mark no longer falls off after executing the masterful shot. So he does get that damage boost a little bit more, and I like that. I also really like BigManTingz on Thoth. BigManTingz is that good, and and his Thoth play has been very impressive. So I like to see the direction that Mouse is walking in this game.
A little bit more traditional. Horrific Emblem already going to be expended over from iRaffer. Seems like Ataraxia and iRaffer both struggling just a little bit here to outclear Dardez and Spudio, but that's just to be expected. Hard to match up with those 5 Astro arrows early on.
Oh, just barely getting out of there. iRaffer. Not so clean. I was going to say clean and clear, but he certainly is clear. So, Dardez and Spudio have control for now. Dardez is going to follow the Obey boys into the jungle and look for a little bit of help, but PrettyPriMe will be the help, and he's wearing the enemy jersey, so Dardez has to be careful. Spudio hits level 2 and rolls in, and now here comes the shield. Here comes the chain of lightning. No detonate, as Prime is only level 2, but Spudio still in a world of hurt. Looks like he's going to go down. Ataraxia. First blood for Obey Alliance.
Spudio nearly got away with that one, too. That's the craziest part. If he'd managed to get that rollout off, then he was probably long gone from that entire situation, and that would have been a drop ball there for Obey. Fortunately enough, Ataraxia going to be able to pull the trigger just in time and get that final in-hand to take down the Ram. I also think that it's not really worth it for Dardez and Spudio. Give up first blood, get that purple buff invade, but it's hard to expect PrettyPriMe to be there so early.
Well, iRaffer's here, and so is Cherryo. Successfully defended
Jungle
purple.
Freya, by the way.
Jungle
First time
Freya.
we're seeing this.
Yes, and this is I really like Jungle Freya, honestly. We've seen her primarily in the mid lane, exclusively in the mid lane, outside of Funball, who played her in the Hunter position. And now we've got Cherryo here playing the Jungle Freya. I've always liked Freya in the jungle. Old Freya, new Freya. I think she is more traditional mage than she used to be now. But there's still assassination involved. Y'all saw the replays of Zeros just detonating that one and blowing people up. Yeah, I want that out of the jungle as well.
It's nice to have, that's for sure. And speaking of which, Ataraxia actually playing things a little bit on the edge here. Doesn't have his escape just yet. That dash still unavailable because he took his 1 and 2 first and foremost. So Spudio and Dardez certainly aware of it and looking to maybe try and punish.
Ooh, iRaffer with a nice taunt is going to set up his Hunter for 2 shots. Dardez still good though. Rather traditional game for a traditional composition. Obey Alliance unshaken though, game number 1 with the weird stuff that mousesports were up.
And going back to that Freya jungle position for Cherryo, I think that Freya can be lacking a little bit in her gank early on, but I think this is a pick that is excellent to have during those big objective contest moments because Freya just does so much damage. It can be so unexpected and just really be the punish against PrettyPriMe that Mouse were missing out on last game.
And yes, exactly. That's what I was thinking. And it's also really nice to have Freya in addition to the traditional mage, right? She's a mage in and of herself, yeah, but Thoth is like the mage guy. And
just
bringing both, and like bringing both is really nice. I really like the combination of these two characters. Whoop into ultimate out of Thoth is something to think about. There's a lot of positives for this draft from mousesports. Still behind the bounty for the first blood that Obey were able to get off of Mouse's over-eagerness to invade the enemy jungle.
I like that Ataraxia really thought he could back somewhere above the halfway mark and that Dardez wouldn't intercept.
Yeah, like, okay, bud.
Just a friendly reminder. There's no such thing as getting a free back off in competitive play.
Not at all. Nika here, level 5 versus Xaliea. Xaliea the one on the Baron this time around. Nika on the Amaterasu. One of his better characters, in my opinion. Nika's a really cool guy for what it's worth, just as a side note. But generally a middle-of-the-pack solo laner. This is one of the gods he's better at, I'd say.
I like that he went for the Baron or for the Amma into the Baron matchup because that additional movement speed from the Amma passive is going to be really important for Mouse as they're trying to move throughout the jungle. Baron is really great at limiting certain choke points and corridors on the map, so when you have the Emma's additional movement speed to kind of work around that, it can maybe shut down some of the aggression moments that Obey might be looking for.
I also like the movement speed in the world of Freya as well. Anytime you can speed Freya up, I'm already giving you a thumbs up. So also a nice selection there with their jungle in mind as well. Dardez synergizes well with Cherryo as well, making sure to take advantage of the attack speed. Dardez getting caught coming into lane. No taunt from iRaffer though.
It's a lot more traditional this time around, that's for sure, from Mouse. The only thing that's really a little bit out there would be Cherryo rocking the Freya pick.
And I think that's just, I think we will see more Freya jungle later.
Yes. I think once teams have had a little bit more time to kind of experiment and figure out what works best for and against her, then we'll start seeing some more options opening up. Speaking of which, Dardez with a nice Fafnir hammer stun, forcing Twig to consider the Sonic Boom.
Smooth moves from mousesports right there. CaptainTwig misses the special delivery, which is largely just dancing coming out from BigManTingz and Cherryo. Just a really nice response to the Blink Mercury from mousesports there. So Obey missed an opportunity, but really, like, mousesports just dancing.
Check out Twig's choice of shoes, however. That's going to be a reinforced Greaves on the Mercury.
Interesting choice there. Reinforced Greaves, one of my favorite conditional items. I like it better when there's more dots.
I think that Twig wanted these boots specifically because of the fact that there is a large amount of CC from Mouse, and that 20% crowd control reduction going to be a heavy disengaging factor for him, as well as since he's the one, I mean, we saw that play. He might have missed the special delivery, but the intent was still clear.
Yeah.
Twig wanted to initiate. And if he's a little bit tankier and can survive just a little bit longer, that might permit Obey to find a pick cleanly.
Yeah, the problem with these boots is that it's what, three protection, right? You get 3 prots, and then when you get hit, you get 3 more prots, which is 6 prots. I don't really care about 3 protections. I don't really care about 6 protections. 9 protections, we have a conversation, right? And it goes all the way up to 21 because it's stacked 7 times. So, like I said, I prefer this with dot compositions and to a lesser extent, double hunter. So I think the mentality is Cherryo and Spudio are both going to be hitting you repeatedly, so that will stack up the boots. But late game, Cherryo's just going to blow you up. 3 protections for the secondary Freya hit is not going to be enough. So I'm a big proponent of the Tims, as they call them. I'm a big proponent of the tank boots. I really do like them, but this isn't my favorite selection because of the enemy composition.
I think that so long as Twig can set up PrettyPriMe, that's all that Obey are really concerned about, because PrettyPriMe can realistically take down any single member from Mouse with this Zeus damage. It's just a little bit more concerning to see Ataraxia on the Chiron, because Chiron does tend to have his own struggles in the late game specifically. I think early to mid, you're usually sitting in a pretty spot, but mid and late could be worrisome for Obey in terms of just closing the match out. And also, Twig will probably end up selling these reinforced Greaves, I imagine.
That's what I'm
Should
hoping.
the match stretch out to the later stages, I highly doubt we see these reinforced Greaves forever.
I like Raxia on the Chiron because usually the cleanse is really what's exciting about this character, right? And usually there's so much to cleanse that it almost becomes not worth it because you want to use that ability. Here, you've got just a couple of stuns, and I think it really will come in handy for Obey.
That seems to be the mindset, but can they pull it off? I mean, things have been in a pretty heavy lull here. Obey find that initial pick, and after that, it is just full-on Farmville pretty much for these two teams.
Mouse have earned the gold back. It's now a 100 gold deficit, where it was actually... Mouse actually have more gold than Obey Alliance. Not anything that I'm calling a lead, but just interesting to note because they were on the wrong side of the first blood. So just head down and farm, and Mouse have been able to recuperate that loss and even, you know, earn some extra Cheerios along the way.
Now that Twig has finished off this Hasten Katana, this is the point where I want to start seeing some of those long-range Sonic Booms come into effect. Spudio specifically, Rom can struggle quite a bit against the Mercury. If you don't have any deep vision in that dual lane, very easy from CaptainTwig to just charge up his ult from right around the corner of that T1 tower, so completely out of view for Spudio. and once he catches him, it's so difficult for a Rom to actually get away. You usually have to go straight up into the Astral Barrage, and that's only assuming that you don't die right away.
Yeah, you get Sonic boomed, and then he rolls, and so does the Mercury. So they're both in the same spot again. Rom ults, and then Merc just sits there waiting at the bottom. Like, what's up, dude? When you coming down, buddy?
The response time will be important here from
Yes.
Mouse. The second that they realize one of their lanes is in danger, they all need to start moving in that direction. There can't be any single moments of hesitation unless they plan on going for an objective.
Yeah, then they can sort of they can do the other side of the map thing. Energy does that really well. Energy historically have worked on what I call the buddy system, where nobody is outside of help range out of 2 seconds, and I think that's kind of what Mouse need to do. Dardez gets taunted, and he jumps even further through the back line. 2 players wrapped up by CaptainTwig as he cuts the opposition in half. Here comes Cherryo looking for Twiggy, but he won't find him. Instead, it's Xaliea that's the target, but he's got help from Athena. Cherryo, 1 HP, make that 0. iRaffer puts the shield wall onto 1. Ataraxia with the snipes takes down the other.
All the way from downtown, that Master's Will is going to be able to follow, but not even necessary because PrettyPrime's got the detonate anyway. Dardez taking yet another spill, a 3-for-0 exchange in favor of Obey Alliance, and they are not letting up anytime soon. This T1 tower could very likely fall.
A great taunt from iRaffer. That's been a big part. But PrettyPrime, the biggest. 2 kills, 1 button, 1 deicide for Obey Alliance. 11 minutes in. And PrettyPrime picking up where he left off as MVP in game number 1.
Nika and Spudio just needed to let that tower go. There's no reason to bother trying to contest that goal Fury any longer. You already know 2 of your teammates, or 3 of your teammates, excuse me, are down and out for the count. And with Gold Fury still on the map, this is a heavy swing in Obey's favor. CaptainTwig nearly ended up losing his own life for that invade attempt onto BigManTingz' red buff, but still, Obey, they take T1 tower, they take the deicide home, and the Gold Fury to boot.
Wonderful play. Obey Alliance just doing what they came to do. This team, I said it game 1, I'll say it in game 2. It's just the Zeus, man. PrettyPrime is out of control with the selection, and mousesports seem to not really have the tools to deal with it. Now, right now, Freya, level 11, level 12 is where Freya gets, I think, her most scary, where she has 3 items, 2 items, right? That's Cherryo's job. Cherryo's job is to de-Zeus the enemy team. And, you know, I look at what Cherryo has brought to the battlefield. I think Freya is much better at doing that than Ardeo.
I can't disagree with you on that one, but that also felt a little bit like a force pick for Cherryo in that he's sacrificing his own early game potential just to try and make up for his team's lack of protections in the mid and late game.
Yeah, that's really it. I would have liked to see a more mid-game oriented jungler, I think, because late game can be handled by BMT and Spudio, right?
Well, that's what I like about this comp from Mouse is that we finally get a chance to see Cherryo be greedy. I wanted Cherryo to be more selfish in terms of the picks that he goes for, because I think that Cherryo is more than capable of taking the hyper carries and executing them perfectly.
I would be much more excited if it was a character. Naja's banned out. I know. Naja is kind of the go-to, I guess. Bakasura, how do you like Baka into Zeus? Is Baka a good Zeus character?
No. Zeus will tear him alive. I mean, you won't even get a chance to ult. You might as well just save that one because the little minions will just spread the chain lightning faster.
That's actually really fair. I didn't even remember that. Oh, man. Yeah, that would be rough. Ymir? Cherryo likes playing the Ymir. Hunbats is usually one of my favorite characters.
Anything that has
Zeus.
to go within melee range of a Zeus is typically not going to be very favored unless it's like a Mercury where you have that instantaneous crit burst damage.
Yeah, which is... I like the Hunbats. We'll see. Ultimate from Ataraxia immediately coming out. Cherryo immediately going into the air because he's immediately cut down to about a third of his HP. Dardez shows up, albeit a little bit late, but still here. And Obey... Get no kills in that exchange, but they're still sitting up 6-0 and a slew of gold. Only about 3K, 4K.
hardly missed out on a double kill opportunity there as well for Obey. I think Twig, one more time, was just a little bit off the mark with that special delivery.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell if it looked as though Spudio's purification beats might have still been in effect, and that's what caused that interaction to never take place, because Spudio was rolling backwards with the beads, having already procced, so as Twig is dashing forward, no chance of grabbing him up there. I thought they were going to be able to get the body block off onto Cherryo for a second, and it's really just the slows. Between the Hasty Katana and the Frostbound Hammer,
yeah.
they had a hard time running away.
So
Twig's utility this game, that's all that he is.
a utility Mercury, though?
It can work depending on what you're trying to accomplish with your composition. In this circumstance, it looks as though all Twig really wants to do is slow down Cherryo, and the Frostbound is going to do exactly that.
Very true. Yep. Very, very, very true. Whether or not, but I also think that you know, killing somebody is the best crowd control because they are dead. That was a very Finch sentence, I feel like.
But Twig's always been a little bit more selfless when it comes to jungling. Twig is more of a team player, and that's not to say that every other jungler in the SPL is insanely greedy and doesn't like helping their teammates ever. It's just that Twig will go the above and beyond measure for that, and I think the only other player that can really find any sort of similarities for that aspect is probably Weekend, honestly.
Yeah.
He is another pretty selfless player most of the time when it comes to giving up his own advantages just to give the team a more of an edge.
I agree. I do like that comparison. I think that works out well. Cherryo, at one point, was the upcoming star, you know? Everything just kind of became lukewarm for a lot of these players. I don't know, man. Cherryo got to go back to the drawing board. BigManTingz a little off the mark, but does force out iRaffer's ultimate.
Barely.
Yep.
But almost doesn't quite cut it sometimes. And speaking of which, Nika almost in a pretty heavy spot of danger there. Obey not choosing to continue aggressing onto him because he's the solo laner. And well, Nika will be able to resustain that damage, no problem. But this is what I like. Mouse just going for it, trying to bring Obey back into the area.
Yeah, it's about 4,000 gold to lead for Obey. So certainly a fight that Mouse can take, and they were interested. Here's on the back line, the blink coming out from CaptainTwig, slowly working on Spudio, and doing just that. Lucky number 7 for Obey Alliance. Beautiful lift coming out from Cherryo, but what avail? Where's the help? Where's the damage? Xaliea is going to be a damage, but he's on the other side. Cherryo one shot short of taking care of the solo laner, and this fight's going in Obey's direction.
Great heal there for Xaliea as well, and now Cherryo forces the Aegis, but all Nate has to do is wait. Ataraxia managing to find Cherryo after the fact, and it looked as though this engagement was about to go in Mouse's favor up until the blink threw everyone into the backline, and Twig, the moment he picked Spudio, that's what drew the attention of Mouse to realizing, hey, our backline's being aggressed on, and it separated their team.
Just a wonderful play by Obey Alliance. CaptainTwig working as this oddball solo Mercury. Very low on the damage charts, but getting to the backline, and man, I don't really know why he's doing this, but it's working.
He found the solo frag onto Spudio. He's given this ROM a lot of grief, even with the Frostbound Hammer. It's just the consistent chipping away at his health, and there was no one to intercept Twig either. They kind of just let Twig attack Spudio for way too long.
I think this is a big part of what allows CaptainTwig to play in this direction with the tanky items. He gets attack speed. He gets 70% attack speed, right, from maximum velocity. And he also is converting his movement speed into power. Sure, I get that as well. So the katana and the boots are giving him more power than they seem to on the banner or on the label. And then the other two items don't provide power. They're just providing straight defense. So this isn't the same as, say, Circuit, who can really work without power. I think Mercury works better with the power, but he can definitely kind of fake it till he makes it, if you will, and do what Twig is doing, and it's working out nicely.
Well, Twig still managed to find the purification beats from Cherryo in the nick of time, and that Sonic Boom just right down the middle between the two of them. Cherryo still getting heavily poked out, almost ends up dying to that detonate damage from PrettyPriMe.
Yeah, that one was close. Cherryo just counting stars at the moment, saying thank you for not being able to have one more power. Fire Giant started by Obey Alliance. They're up 7,000 gold. Nika trying to change that, but instead Xaliea getting the last hit off of big damage from PrettyPriMe again. The mid and solo laner combining for 16,000 damage between the two of them. Xaliea taking that and pushing it to the next level as the Hunter gets over 10,000 player damage with the defeat of BigManTingz. 3 for none. And Obey Alliance going back to fire.
BigManTingz was nearly out of there, but the Crusher proc was all it needed to be done. Tings was less than 20 health probably for the Crusher effect to actually end up being the one to take him down. That's Dardez accepting his fate.
This is Raffer and Dardez being supports.
Well, neither can kill the other, but Raffer doesn't want to let Dardez push up the midway for free, so he's just going to harass him while his team takes the Fire Giant and the Pyromancer, and, well, seems like that solo lane tower isn't going to be around for much longer either.
Yeah, that one's probably toast.
Take that!
Dardez wins the fight for his own red buff. I do like to see the players having fun, man. That's a good one.
Sometimes it's all you can do.
Yeah, no, and make no bones about it. They're not trolling, just like you were saying. They're supports. What are they supposed to do? They fight over the red buff and somebody wins it.
There's no chance of defending either of those towers in T1, T2, and solo. Those are just gone. Dardez did a great job in defending his team's red buff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Dardez, he knows what he can and can't do.
Most of the time.
Just walking away. I just walked right past Xaliea. I'm loving it.
Nope. Dardez got to be careful here.
Yeah,
Raffer was toying with him before, but now he's got his boys right behind him.
Exactly. This is you're conditioning the opponent into like, yeah, I'm just messing. Yeah, I'm just messing. Yeah, I'm just. I started the jump party thing.
This does feel like it's just a prank, bro. Like there's gonna be a YouTube series on it.
Well,
where the pros just like mess with each other in that way. Speaking of which, Cherryo special delivery right into the likes of CaptainTwig, just throws him up against the wall, and no real reason to do anything else. And Ataraxia, that's all the damage that you need.
Ooh. Ataraxia. Look at that build, baby. Jotun's Wrath, Crusher, Soul Eater, Transcendence.
And see, Soul Eater, it's fine here because he's got 40% CDR with it, as well as the fact that he buckled down straight for the pen build, and it's Chiron. It's one of those hunters who already has a little bit of a self-heal in his kit off of that passive, so it can work.
Mm-hmm. Would you do this on other ability hunters, like Neith or
Possibly
Medusa?
Neith. I think Neith is the only real other hunter that I would ever consider something like this for.
Obey on the left side making their push. Raffer gets dinked by BigManTingz. Not a big deal. Nice stun on Xaliea from BMT, and PrettyPrime's going to drop the ultimate on the mid lane mage. Cut him down to 10%. Xaliea turns on the Hoover, and he's going to turn on Mouse. Two players get sucked on in, and PrettyPriMe steps on him. Raxia takes care of Spudio. 2 down, as well as the left side Phoenix.
And all I have to say about that entire engage is that Spudio could not have played that any better than what he just did. Used both of his actives on the escape, even timed the Astral Barrage perfectly to not get pulled in for the stun off of Xalea's life of the party, and it still didn't make a difference. That is how deep Obey are able to go into Mouse's territory.
And they just are not punished for it. No consequences. Obey now looking for further push. And CaptainTwig in some trouble. Cherryo, hit your shots, my guy. Complete inaccuracy from the jungle, Freya. And Obey Alliance, they don't get the Phoenix. Good job for the rest of mousesports.
Obey still have to disengage. They're sitting a little bit too low to feel very comfortable pushing forward. That is until this detonate damage from PrettyPriMe comes into effect. Nika might have dashed away, but it was only temporary.
What's the cooldown?
End up falling.
What's the cooldown on Thoth? Oh, Raffer couldn't stay in there. Doesn't need it. Xaliea gets it from over the wall. Right side bird in trouble again. Xaliea with the vacuum cleaner. Taking care of BigManTingz. And Obey Alliance working overtime.
Spudio will end up killing Raffer, but Raffer went down for a reason. Taunted the hunter just far enough for PrettyPriMe to get those charges up onto him for the detonate damage to confirm the kill. And again, I think that this was just some great smite play out of Obey.
Yeah, again, specifically the mid laner. Last time around, I made a mistake. I said, vote for your favorite PrettyPriMe, and wait, I mean MVP. That wasn't a mistake. I was being glib. I want to do the same bit here. I'm going to ask you guys to vote for your MVP, but again, I think it's PrettyPriMe.
It might just have to be PrettyPriMe a second time in a row. It's just that what happens when you have that kind of performance back to back, and then you might just earn yourself an MVP vote 2 times in a row.
7-0-7 was the final slash line for the mid lane Zeus. Again, feed the Swede. This is how Obey wins. Get PrettyPriMe on a hard carry potential character and just let him do his job. CaptainTwig is playing Mercury, one of the hardest carrying gods in the game, and he's playing utility on him because he knows that PrettyPriMe is the hard carry. Great job there. mousesports drop it in 2 games. Let's go deeper with Finch and his ugly shirt. Sweater weather.
Ataraxia might be the one that we can make the candidate there. As
true.
I ignore the last thing said by whoever was standing next to Taco. Great job, Taco. Totally and I are going to be the ones that kind of close the day out for you. But an impressive performance by Obey. And I'm right there with you. I think Ataraxia did excellent like Chiron as well, but Prime kind of steals the spotlight.
6-0-11 for Ataraxia's Chiron, but 7-0-7 for PrettyPriMe. It's really hard to top that kind of a performance in game number 1, but number 2 was the Zeus player yet again. PrettyPriMe really making the pain happen. You look at the composition out of mousesports, and I mean, who dives the backline? It's a lonely Dardez trying to peel, balancing that equation out with also Nika's Amaterasu.
And just couldn't get the job done by himself. Prime able to very easily rocket from the backside, and in fact, it is Prime selected as your MVP. No one out there able to top that performance by PrettyPriMe in that situation. He ends up coming out on top, and he knows it.
Oh yeah,
hard to beat this guy.
10.5 KDA. I think it's time to really start thinking about ways to isolate this Zeus, right? Because it was picked, I'm pretty sure, picked before the secondary ban phase. Odin was actually banned by mousesports, afraid that Obey was going to select that. Kabrakan was still available, Thor, Ymir. There was a lot of options to limit the pathing, and I think mousesports and everyone actually as a whole up against PrettyPriMe Zeus needs to figure out the ways to isolate it through walls.
And it looks like he's really getting comfortable with these sort of immobile burst mages, right? He'll play the Opwash too. Yeah, exactly, if he can't play the Zeus. So this is clearly a strat for Prime, or a comfort. That's something that he's found that sort of got him into a good spot. You got to come up with an answer if you want to stop this Obey team, because at this point, I mean, they just look as good as anyone else. But not just Prime. I mean, Ataraxia right there with them as well. Xaliea looking comfortable out of the solo lane. When Obey plays like this, they could definitely be in that top 2.
And this is a great way to end the first half of the split for Obey Alliance. Finding a victory today puts them up at 3-2. mousesports losing today, unfortunately dropping down to 1-4.
That means that it is a tight race for that second spot. Remember, the top 2 auto-qualify right on through past those placement stages from each region. Right now, United looking like definitely they'll be a part of it. Dignitas looking that way too. But anything could happen on the back half of this split. So you got to make sure that you're continuing to fight on through. But we're not even done with this week. Let's go ahead and just take a look at the schedule so we can see exactly which games you already missed, the scores in those as well. Dignitas beat SK earlier today. Obey Alliance looking strong up against Mouse.
Obey almost finding an upset victory over Dignitas. The most surprising factor was that Splice versus Space Station on Wednesday. To wrap up week 3 tomorrow, it's going to be North America Splice against Trifecta to start things off, and ending the day with CLG up against LG.
That's actually a huge set. This is a chance for Splice to really kind of solidify themselves as either third place or even contending for second place after their win over Space Station if they can close out that win over Trifecta. So you're going to want to make sure that you take a look at North America as well. But remember, the reason why those top 2 spots are so important, the reason why you got to get them is because that gets you to DreamHack on the cleanest path possible. That's not true, though. There's one cleaner path. Go to hi-rezexpo.com. That's pretty easy. You can get right there. Hard to top that.
When do I need to be there, though?
That's going to be November 16th through 18th. I didn't even look at the screen, totally.
What can I expect to see there?
You can expect to see Smite on PC, console Paladins on PC. The guy that runs the show for us, he'll dab for you too. Just find him. He'll definitely be happy to do
What can I do after hi-rez expo, though?
Well, then you can go to the after party. I don't need to look at the screen. I know what's coming. Yeah, look at that. After party, $50. Get those tickets, totally. Eye contact.
What's the website?
Oh, I don't know that.
Eventbrite, yeah. That was a good bit. He did not actually break eye contact for me. mean, that was very impressive.
I didn't know the website. I had to look there, but make sure you go pick them up. Totally, we all kind of cut loose a little bit there, so you definitely want to see us there when we're having a good time. Y'all can have a good time too. We're looking forward to having everybody there. We can still have a little bit of a good time at home though by getting your accounts linked up. That way, when you're already watching the streams, because we know that y'all are here, you can make sure that you start earning those rewards.
Get the levels on Mixer, get your SPL Bologna, get those in-stream rewards for a limited time.
That's right. Hop on there right now and grab that SPL Bologna skin once she is made available. I know that's one that you all are big fans of, but it's been a long day here, totally. Plenty of action. SML had some upsets in an SPL as well, so I do appreciate everybody for sticking here with us. I hope you all enjoyed your day. Make sure you're right back for SML North America tomorrow as well. Again, thank you for watching, and have a good night.